Chapter 3. The main floor of the mansion was open concept, a room with floor-to-ceiling windows that framed the Pacific. John imagined sitting in one of the strategically placed recliners and watching the sun rise and set. He might never move. The kitchen was commercial grade. It had a giant gas stove. It could have been out of a famous chef's kitchen. The rest of the furniture was large and comfortable. John marveled that each piece was flown or shipped to this island in the middle of the Pacific. It was crazy that someone had the money to afford the expense without a second thought. "The basement first," Carole said. "Daddy's people spent a lot of time getting it just right." "How do you get a basement just right?" Brian asked. "You'll see," Carole said. The stairs led down from the main room and ended in a long hallway with doors on both sides. Carole walked ahead of them and named the rooms as they passed: storage, mechanical, water filtration. The last door on the left opened into a room that ran the width of the house. Purple light glowed at the far end. "Hydroponics," Carole said. Rows of green plants grew beneath the lamps in shallow trays. The room was warm and smelled like wet earth. Metal shelving lined the near wall, stacked with canned goods and water jugs. Wooden crates had been pushed underneath. "You grow food down here?" Dennis asked. "Lettuce, herbs, tomatoes, some other things. We're mostly self-sufficient on the veggies." She pointed toward an archway on the other side of the room. "The prep room. They wash and trim everything in there and freeze it the same day." Carole crossed to a stainless steel door set into the wall and pulled it open. Cold air rolled out. The freezer was deep, with shelving along the walls and food stacked to the ceiling. Dennis looked from the freezer to the hydroponics. "Your father built a zombie apocalypse room." "Pretty much," Carole laughed. "The freezer has a flash freezing function. There's a button on the outside that drops the temperature to something ridiculous in about a minute. It's for produce, so nothing goes soft." Carole led them down a hallway off the main room. It had doors on both sides. John noticed names fitted into a holder next to each door. He was looking for his name when they arrived at the end of the hall. "This is me," Carole said, touching one of the tall, thick double doors that opened into the master suite. The master was ridiculous. A king bed faced the windows. The bathroom had a soaking tub positioned so you could watch the sunset while you bathed. There was a walk-in closet the size of John's apartment bedroom back home. Carole was a shoe freak. One wall of the enormous closet was lined with shoes. Why, John wondered, would someone need 36 pairs of 6-inch heels on a remote Pacific island? "It's beautiful," Margot said. "Thank you. You know Kimberly from the television show, the one that remodels homes with her husband? Daddy had her do all the rooms. I'm not crazy about all of them, but I think she did well." Brian, who was bringing up the rear beer bottle in hand, tossed the cap at John, hitting him in the shoulder. "Camera boy, grab my suitcase and put it in the corner there," Brian said, pointing to a spot next to a chest of drawers. Carole, who was bouncing on the end of the bed like she was testing the mattress, looked up. "Everyone has their own room. You may have noticed the name plates next to each door in the hall. You're free to exchange rooms if you want. It's so beautiful here at night that the last time Daddy had people here, a couple of them slept on the loungers out by the pool." Brian looked like he'd been slapped. John noticed Margot and Dennis exchange a look. Carole continued. "John, don't worry about the bags. I need you to set up for a shoot at the pool. I'd like to get to work right after lunch. How long will it take you?" Carole asked. "An hour, maybe less," John said, recalling the pool layout. Carole walked to the giant closet, opened the door again, stepped in, and came out with a large camera bag. "I thought you might like to use this as well," Carole said, handing him the bag. John looked at her with suspicion. "What is it?" "Maybe it'll explode," Brian said, cheering at the thought. "That's awful," Diana said. "That's actually funny," Dennis said, and fist bumped Brian. Open it," Carole said. John zipped open the bag and stared in disbelief. He looked down at an X2 D100C Hasselblad camera and 3 lenses. He shook his head. "I don't get it," he said. "I know you weren't crazy about taking this trip. This," she pointed at the bag, "is a little thank you. Besides, I hear it's supposed to take good pictures." John was stunned. "I don't know what to say." "Good," Brian said. "Then maybe we can move along." Carole ignored Brian. I put you next door, she said to John. I brought a dozen outfits. I thought I'd get a couple in front of the window. She pointed. And maybe some lingerie stuff. Brian turned on his heel and stormed out of the bedroom, kicking the door on his way out. Carole ignored it. Carole, thank you, John said. She smiled and turned to the others. I'll show you your rooms. Margot and Diana had rooms across from each other in the middle of the hall. Dennis was next to Margot and Skip next to Diana. Since the master bedroom was at the end of the hall, Brian and John were across from each other next to the thick double doors. Brian entered his room and closed the door behind him without a word. That left Carole and John in the hall. John indicated Brian's door. That was about me being here, John said. Don't worry about him. I made it clear before the trip that I intended to get as many pics as possible while on the island. It's not like I can drag you here every weekend. You can drag me anywhere you please, John said. Carole smiled. She leaned forward, kissed his cheek, and whispered in his ear, cameras, pool. After setting up at the pool, John reluctantly returned to the house. He would rather have fiddled with the Hasselblad. His stomach objected and won the argument. Besides, after lunch, he would have 3 beautiful girls under his direction and in front of the lens. John entered the living room through a sliding glass door. The kitchen was just beyond. John waved. Hey, Loggie, he said. Loggie was a big Samoan woman. She was wide, thick, and built low to the ground. He imagined her diving off the top rope onto an opponent in a wrestling ring. Loggie, the Samoan terror. She wore a floral dress and rubber sandals. Loggie waved a large wooden spoon at him. Hello, Mr. John. Lunch in 15 minutes. Well, it smells great. I'm sure it tastes even better, he said. Smart boy, Loggie said. Brian, who was pulling another beer out of the large double-door refrigerator, made a face. Loggie looked at Brian. You, not so much, she said. Dennis snickered. John had the Hasselblad hanging by his side. Skip pointed at the camera. What's the big deal? I'm sure you know people who own yachts, right? John said. Of course. John touched the camera. This is like the super yacht of cameras. He opted against explaining the format, megapixels, and color. Cool, Skip said. Diana was sitting on a stool at the large island. John took several steps in her direction. Cross your legs. Diana complied. Like this? Perfect. Turn your head. A little more. Chin up. Now cut your eyes. Good. Hold it, he said, and took several shots from different angles. John worked with Diana while Loggie took the food to the table on the patio. Margot tried to help, but Loggie threatened her with the wooden spoon if she set foot in her kitchen. Diana had an interesting face. It was exotic. There was a hint of the Orient around the eyes, her cheeks were high and sharp, and her skin had a tinge of olive, suggesting a Mediterranean heritage. John moved in for some close-ups of the face, and after a while, John said, We should probably join the others. When can I see them? Diana asked. It might be a bit. I have a feeling Carole is going to keep us busy, he said. Diana took his arm. Does Brian have a reason to be jealous? She asked. John shook his head. Not from me. I started doing this for Carole in high school. You know that. It's always been boss and employee. In his junior year of high school, he'd been at Scarborough Fair taking pictures for his eBay store. He shot anything and everything and sold digital copies. He started making a tiny bit of money after his 100,000th listing. This beautiful girl came up to him and asked to see the back of the camera. She scrolled through 24 frames without a word. Then she asked if he wanted regular work. He said he did. Part-time eventually turned into a full-time position as Carole's photographer. But you like her, as Diana said. Of course I like her, John said. Deanna poked him in the side. That's not what I mean, and you know it. You want her. Everybody wants her, just like everybody wants you. Really? Do you want me? John was saved from answering by their arrival at the table. He quickly put distance between himself and Deanna. Loggie put down the last bowl. I made poke bowls, grilled mahi-mahi, roasted breadfruit, and a papaya salad. Enjoy. I'll be in the kitchen if you need anything. Thank you, Loggy, Carole said. Loggy waved, started to walk away, then stopped and turned back. One more thing. Keep your eyes open for brown tree snakes. They're everywhere lately. The table got quiet. Snakes, Diana said, shivering. Are you joking? Margot asked. Nobody said anything about snakes, Skip said. Legud took a step back to the table. Brown tree snakes. They're invasive. They climb trees, walls, roof beams, rain gutters. Are they dangerous? Margot asked. Mildly venomous. They won't kill you, but you'll wish they had for about 6 hours. Just keep your eyes open. Loggy turned and walked back to her kitchen. You didn't mention snakes in your briefing, camera boy, Brian said. This is the first I've heard of them, John said. Dennis turned to Carole. I think you should get a partial refund on that report. After lunch, John went straight to the pool area. He had set up 2 Nikon Z9S at angles to video the action while he took stills. John used the first camera to video wide while the other was zoomed tight. He trusted the Z9S's internal tracking to keep the focus accurate. He checked his shot list. He'd learned to make a shot list to keep from forgetting pictures he wanted to take. There was nothing worse than getting home and realizing you'd missed important shots. He intended to start at the pool. Brian came down carrying a glass and a bottle of scotch. Camera boy, where will I be out of the way? John scanned the pool area. He wanted to say at the bottom of the Pacific, but restrained himself. The table with the umbrella. It is permissible to watch, isn't it? Sure. You can also get your bathing suit, take your shirt off, and I can work you in, John suggested. Brian considered it, then shook his head and raised the bottle of scotch. I'll stick to what I know. The offer remains open, John said. Brian nodded and went to the table. Was he less hostile, or was it just his imagination, John wondered. Carole came out first in a black one-piece cut high to the waist. Margot followed in a white bikini. Diana wore a blue two-piece and a sheer cover-up. Each of the girls carried an extra-large bag stuffed with more swimsuits and heels. Carole also had a bag of hats and sunglasses. John spent the next several hours taking pictures of the girls, working through his shot list. For pure, raw animal sex appeal, it had to be Margot. Diana blew both Margot and Carole away when it came to close-up face images. John's favorite was still Carole. She was classical perfection. Dennis watched the photo shoot from the terrace for a few minutes. Skip came out and stood next to Dennis. He looked down at the pool. They're going to be at this for a while, Dennis said. Looks like it, Skip said. You think she's doing camera boy? Dennis asked. Who, Carole? Yeah. No way, Skip said. She hired him while they were both still in high school. He's been working for her ever since. That's what I mean, Dennis said. Nope, Skip said. That's not what Brian thinks, Dennis said. Brian is an idiot, Skip said. You did it, Dennis said. Did what? Skip asked. You took a position on something. Congrats. Fuck you, Dennis. Dennis laughed. I want to check out that trail we passed on the drive in. The one that went into the jungle? That's the one. Carole said her dad told her to stay away from all that. Camera boy's been laying it on thick since the plane. Carole put him up to it. She's trying to scare us, Dennis said. You think? She's absolutely messing with us. What about the snakes? Skip said. The cook is screwing with us, too. Did you see the look on her face when she said it? She was enjoying herself. Skip scratched the back of his neck. He looked down at the pool again. Margot was lying on her stomach now, while John crouched low, shooting from behind. I don't know, Skip said. We'll take the four-wheelers, ride down, poke around for 20 minutes, ride back. We'll be here before they're done. And if we get lost? It's one road, Skip. We drive in, we drive out. Skip looked at the pool one more time, then back at Dennis. All right, let me grab shoes. They walked around the side of the house to the metal shade structure where the four-wheelers were parked. 2 Honda Ranchers, red, keys in the ignitions. Dennis swung a leg over the nearest one and turned the key. The engine caught and settled into a steady idle. Skip got on the other one. He sat there for a second without starting it. Dennis, yeah, you really think she made all that up? The screaming, the experiments? She's fucking with us, Dennis said and drove off. Skip started his engine and followed,